The Washington Post, I've mentioned this a couple of times and it needs to be mentioned again. The Washington Post is flat out at this point in the pocket of Hamas, a terrorist organization. And I want to make the case to you on a number of points. Number one, when the October 7th attacks occurred in Israel, the Washington Post gave front page coverage to the pro-Hamas rallies in the United States, many of which were uncritical coverage talking about the need to avoid collective punishment of the Hamas people. Next, if you look at their coverage, when the Israel rally happened on the Washington Mall, they buried the coverage of the metro section. Next, when the pro-Hamas agitators showed up at the Democratic National Committee headquarters, they refused to even cover it, except a little blurb at the bottom of their website. Next, when they've covered stories in Gaza, they have covered the Gaza Health Ministry numbers, sometimes failing to admit the Gaza Health Ministry numbers are a propaganda operation by Hamas, or when they've covered them, they buried in the story that, well, some say the Gaza Health Ministry is run by Hamas. They flat out refused. Most damning of all, they ran a cartoon of the Hamas leader with children tied to him, showing how he uses kids as human shields. And then they took the cartoon down and they apologized for running the cartoon. Time and time again, they do this. And now today, there's this. Let me read you two quotes. One, at least 11,100 Palestinians have been killed in the territory since October 7th, when Israel launched its war in response to a Hamas attack. Notice this. Israel launches a war in response to an attack, and they do this quoting what source? The Gaza Health Ministry, but they never reference it as such. They just state as fact 11,100 Palestinians dead. But then listen to how they cover Israel. Officials in Israel, in making the case to storm Al-Shifa Hospital, have described the hospital as the beating heart of the Hamas militant group's operations, a claim for which they have yet to provide significant evidence. You got that? They're willing to accept at face value Hamas's death toll claims, but not Israel's claims about the hospital. They yank a cartoon about Hamas because it offends the sensitivities of people who work at the Washington Post for daring to show Hamas using human shields. They give front page coverage to pro-Hamas demonstrations. They bury coverage of pro-Israel demonstrations. At this point, the Washington Post is an arm of Hamas, a propaganda arm of Hamas inside the United States, and it should be treated as such.